Lessons from a fall. Hi, everyone. Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. So while recovering from my fall a few months ago, both my week in the hospital as well as my recovery here at home, I naturally made heavy use of technology. It's who I am, after all. What I found interesting is that there were some things that worked, things that did not live up to my expectations, and things that cropped up that were completely unexpected. I want to review some of those. It's a fairly random list, but even so, I think we can all be better prepared for when, not if, something comes up. So my concept of a go bag is my backpack and the technology I keep in it. You can see it over my shoulder here. If I'm called away or stuck somewhere or whatnot, my ability to connect and work or something similar is actually pretty critical. I sometimes refer to it as askleo World Headquarters, since wherever it is, well, there I am. askleo World Headquarters has been used when visiting relatives less than 100 miles away to visiting other relatives halfway around the planet. When my wife asked me what I needed her to bring to the hospital, that backpack was at the top of the list. I set my laptop up on a desk, and, courtesy of hospital Wi-Fi, it remained operational throughout my stay. askleo World Headquarters had temporarily relocated to Overlake Medical Center in Bellevue. Now, it may seem that I'm overstating its importance, but I don't feel that I am. Beyond my business, which honestly was placed on hold anyway, my laptop was my lifeline in many different ways. It was how I stayed in contact with my wife, my family, my friends. It was how I read from my Kindle library as well as a variety of other online sources and newsletters. It held my music, both streaming services and access to my library here at home. It was how I watched video. Hospital television options were limited, to say the least, but I had access to all of my streaming services. It was my typewriter, as I wrote and wrote, both for therapy, mental and physical, as well as staying in touch with the people who'd reached out. There are probably more roles that it played that I can't even think of. Now, you may not need a full-blown laptop. I know, I'm an edge case. But if you're using even something as simple as a mobile phone, your device can truly be a lifeline. Now, while I did have my mobile with me, because my glasses were damaged in the fall, my backup glasses made viewing the small screen a challenge. Hence, I relied very heavily on the laptop. Just don't forget a charger. That's not to say that there weren't some hiccups. Given that I was connecting to open Wi-Fi in the hospital, I fired up my VPN and got nothing. I could never get the VPN to work properly while I was in the hospital. Even using the workaround technologies that the VPN includes, it just wouldn't fly. I ended up relying on HTTPS and other encrypted connections alone. Now, because my manual dexterity had been adversely affected by the fall, my first thought was to use voice to text in lieu of much of my typing. Unfortunately, I could never get any of the technologies I had available to me, which included like Windows native voice to text, Otter.ai, Crisp, and probably a couple of others. I could not get them to the level of accuracy that I needed. Honestly, I'd spend just as much time and as many keystrokes correcting the transcription as I would have had just typing it in the first place. The solution I used with most success was, again, the Google Recorder on my Pixel 9 phone. And even then, it was often easier, in the long run, to just type it in manually. Interestingly, I discovered fingerprints can apparently become unreliable in some situations. My experience was that for whatever reason, damage from the fall, being dried out, being cold, or just something being different, my fingerprint was an unreliable unlock mechanism for my laptop, where normally it was actually quick and simple. Fortunately, I also had a PIN configured and could use that instead. Permissions. Now, to be honest, this wasn't on my technology, but it was an interesting lesson learned. At the height of the proceedings, when things were kind of frantic and everybody was communicating with everybody else, a friend who is a heavy WhatsApp user attempted to initiate a video call with another friend who is, well, technologically tolerant at best. While they had used WhatsApp for text messages before, the friend was immediately faced with a small flood of permissions requests related to the camera and the microphone and probably a few other things that, honestly, they were in no position to even think about. Needless to say, they fell back on plain old text to communicate. The lesson? Give those communication apps a whirl and set up things like permissions before there's a crisis. What's kind of funny is that after I had recovered sufficiently and this friend and I got together physically, they handed me their phone and said, "Here, please fix this. Make the communications, make the permissions things go away." So some other unexpected assists, if you will, in the tech sphere. I started using Grammarly again. Not because I needed the grammar help, although I kind of do, but because with my typing being challenging due to the accident, Grammarly could actually fix things much faster than my going back and making manual corrections. Being in an urban area, we learned to leverage delivery and related services. Several items relating to my recovery were delivered by Amazon the next day, but more pragmatically, my wife and friends used services like DoorDash and Lyft for the first time as well. If these services are available in your area, they're worth remembering as they can often solve problems in addition to just being convenient. Once again, giving them a whirl before a crisis hits can make your crisis response just a little less intimidating. Our medical insurance provider, as well as the hospital I was in, both provide comprehensive online portals where I was able to examine my own records in near real time. I mention this specifically because I know some are reluctant to use the online portals provided by their healthcare provider. My strongest recommendation is that you learn to use it. Learn its quirks because there will be quirks, and use it regularly. You may well find yourself in a situation where it can actually provide you with faster, more accurate information that you might otherwise have access to. Now, one of the themes that I noticed across the various technologies used is that of communications. Specifically, my laptop was for me first and foremost a communications device, going well beyond simply allowing me to communicate with various individuals. Everything communicated was recorded in the message history of various apps. That provided a great record of when and how things transpired and a reference for much of the information that was being shared. While the Google Voice app on my phone wasn't perfect, it was good enough to let me take random notes as I would remember things throughout the day and even at night without necessarily being able to see the phone screen in detail. I often asked healthcare providers checking up on me if I could let it record the conversation so that I could refer to it later. Interestingly, several of them were doing the exact same thing with their own phones. If there's one takeaway from all this, beyond just embracing technology to assist in a crisis and recovery, it's this: prepare. When it's not a crisis, give some of these things a try so that you're not having to learn things from scratch in a high-pressure situation. Try the voice-to-text app. Make a video call. Figure out what messaging app your family's members use and start using it yourself. Pack your own little tech go bag, even if it's just a spare charger and a cable, because your phone is always with you. Sign in and browse your online medical portal. Technology can certainly frustrate, but it can help you in amazing ways in times of crisis. A little preparation can tilt the scales in your favor. For comments, for updates, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/1-888-36. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.